Now, with the government still intent to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030, Westminster's Department for Transport has announced a new grant scheme to reduce the cost of electric vehicles. The discount could see up to £3,750 knocked off the price, with car makers able to apply for funding from tomorrow. Steve Catlin is the managing director of Vauxhall. He was on the BBC's Today programme and said that while he welcomes the grant, there are other outstanding problems to address.
We're not seeing consumer demand at a level which is in line with those government targets. So the target this year is 28%. At the moment, we're running at 21.6% as an industry. We really need this action. So the government set an ambition, which is great, but we really need action in concrete terms in order to meet those ambitious targets. And therefore, we welcome the news today that the government is providing that additional support. And this is part of the overall jigsaw puzzle as to how we encourage people to make the switch to electric vehicles. And it's not just support that we need to make cars more affordable, which this announcement relates to. It's also talking about charging as well, and the availability and the location of charging infrastructure.
Well, here's what some of you have been telling Lily Busby.
I don't think I'm a convert to electric cars. There are issues with the total number of miles they can do on charge and the location and frequency of the recharging station.
Yes, it probably would help to convince me. It would be an incentive.
No, I'm not really a fan of electric cars. There are difficulties with them, especially in a rural environment.
If they got the infrastructure right, possibly yes, but at the moment, no.
Well, let's speak to Mark McCall, co-founder and chair of the EV Association NI, which promotes EVs in Northern Ireland and acts as a lobby for the vehicles. Mark, good to have you on the programme. Here we go again, another incentive, another grant scheme, albeit slightly different. Do you think it'll work this time?
Good evening, Richard. Yes, there's certainly some good news today for anyone that's considering an EV. I think these incentives have been called for by the industry, as your previous clip showed there. I think there have been incentives for business users for quite a while now. That the low benefit in kind rates are very attractive, but dealers tell us that they're looking for something to incentivise the private motorist too. So this seems to fit the bill. And
while it may make it more attractive for consumers, knocking off that extra $3,000 or so in some cases, almost $4,000 for some, it is about the infrastructure, and that's what's coming up time and time again. Even the chief exec of Vauxhall saying there the infrastructure needs to be improved.
Yeah, and Northern Ireland is the sort of the lowest on the rung of all our neighbours on these islands in terms of infrastructure. But that said, we do a survey every year of our members, drivers. People are actually driving electric vehicles in Northern Ireland, and in 2023, in 2022, two-thirds of them said they had to wait often or always for a charger. In 2023, that fell to 25%, and last year it dropped to 12%. So that gives you an idea of the direction of travel on infrastructure here. We've gone from having around 22 rapid chargers for the whole of Northern Ireland to almost 200 today. So in 36 months, we've seen a 10x growth in those important DC rapid chargers here.
Do you think that we are on course for this ban in 2030 of the new sale of petrol and diesel and cars, or do you think the government will either be lobbied or be minded to change their minds on this issue should not enough people take up EVs or hybrids?
Well, whenever we look at the sales just in Northern Ireland for the first half of this year, we've got the SMMT figures, and the only type of transport to increase is battery electric vehicles. Diesels are down 19%, petrol's down 16%. Battery electric vehicles are up 32% now. So there is a direction of travel there. There's an awful lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. And there's a real education piece here to do. Some of the clips earlier on where you were interviewing the public, you wonder if any of them sat in an electric vehicle here making those comments.
Well, just on that, what myths would you like to bust this evening while you're on the radio?
Well, where would you like to start? I mean, 80-something% at our last survey of people said the range, that they were happy or very happy with the range of the electric vehicles. There certainly was a time in Northern Ireland, as little as 2 years ago maybe, where you really did feel you had some range anxiety going, maybe leaving Newry today to drive to Portrush and back. But those days are gone already. We have an extensive DC rapid charging network in Northern Ireland. There are certainly plenty of things to do, like crossing pavement. We're talking to DFI, and we're pretty sure that they're going to make an announcement fairly soon to allow cross pavement charging here, and that's certainly part of the just transition. So there's plenty of work to do here, but I think we have to get the information out there that driving an EV, I've been driving an EV for 9 years now, and there really isn't any reason not to anymore. Northern Ireland is a country with many 2-car families or 3-car families as well, so even one of those cars could easily be an EV in most households right now.
Mark, thanks very much for your time. That's Mark McCall, co-founder and chair of the EV Association NI.